And Jesus asked him, saying, What is thy name? And he said, Legion, because many devils were entered into him. And they besought him that he would not command them to go out into the deep. So he put him in the swine. But the deep. So this is a kind of an interesting thing to think about. What is what is outer space? It's like, I mean, the astronauts themselves call it a bottomless pit, an abyss. They say Earth is an island in like a great abyss. Or I've heard them say so many different things. But I want to show you about 4 or 5 videos. NASA's been pumping out videos today. But I do have some good ones that basically... Whoops, I'm on the wrong page there. Oh, I did it again. Okay, there we go. I'll just start one right now. And this one is a $10 billion project. The James Webb Telescope. That was intense. Let's see here. So that is the James Webb Telescope. That is a $10 billion project. So that word in, what was it? Was it Luke 8:31? I think it was Luke 8:31. That word, yeah, Luke 8:31. Romans 10 verse 7, Revelation 9 verse 1, 9 verse 2, 9 verse 11, 11 verse 7, 17 verse 8, 20 verse 1, 20 verse 3, Revelation 20 verse 3, and all those. So this word is abusos, and the definition is boundless, bottomless. The abyss, or usage is the abyss, unfathomable depth. An especially Jewish conception, the home of the dead and of evil spirits. So, made me think of a Bible verse in Revelation that is actually mentions a prison for evil spirits, and it calls it Babylon the Great. So I'm just going to read that verse. Revelation 18 verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So that place, I think it's space. But so that's that word. Also, if we go down to this Strong's exhaustive concordance, it says deep and bottomless. Now, when we go to Genesis, let's see here. How did I get here? Okay, that's how I did it. Genesis 1 verse 2. I guess this is how it has the words put out in the Hebrew on Bible Hub. And the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. So the darkness that was over the face of the deep, that has something to do with, if I go to that, let's see, of the deep, that's 8415, Strong's 8415, Tehom, I don't know how to say it, Tehom, deep, definition is deep, sea, abyss, confusion. This is Strong's exhaustive concordance, says confusion, empty place, without form, nothing, vain, vanity, waste. That's a lot of different words. But anyway, back to the NASA thing. Where is, I think you guys are gonna, we're going in like 10 different directions here today with these different videos. Okay, first of all, let's watch, they just put this out today, NASA did, and this is the Orion. It helps the launch escape system steer itself and turn the rocket over, and this is a test firing of that. You tell me, just watch this video. It's pretty short. Just watch it and tell me if you think this is what good people do up in the sky. Like, what is this for?
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay. So that's going to be going up in the sky, and I'll play that flying up in the sky here. Now this test they just did today, or I mean they just put the video out today. And this other one we're going to watch, this was a test, and it appears that it has this on it. This is a test I think they did about, it was mid 2019, I can't remember exactly when. But I'll just play that in the background while with the sound off. So this is that test, and you can see the escape system try to work or whatever. See, they're putting all this fire up in the sky, and Daniel saw the Ancient of Days come down. It says, Daniel says, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool, and his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. Okay, now all I'm trying to say is that this is like to try to go into that darkness is it's not good. Okay, so there you go. That I think that's all it was for. You'll see it in a second. It steers it so that it can't hit the escape, because there's going to be astronauts in that capsule right there. Whatever. It's just a big waste of money. And it's also a bad deal. Yeah, it's bad. You know, Lucifer says in Isaiah 14, it says what he says in his heart, which is something to know. It's something to be thinking about. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Okay, when Lucifer says that, well, that's what NASA says too. It is. They're going to reach farther into the heavens or whatever. I'm saying like their mission statement is to go what direction? It's to go up. Literally go up. And yeah. Anyway, so that is boring. That's the Orion that they've spent. You know, let me make sure that everyone's thinking straight about $1 billion and what that really is. That is $1,000 million. So if you had 1,000 friends on Facebook, they'd each get $1 million, and that would be $1 billion. So it's a lot of money. $1 billion is a lot of money. So when they say 1 billion, that's only 1 billion. That's a massive amount of money. And it's to do this kind of garbage. Okay, we're going to skim through this video of the space station astronauts and this indoctrination camp that these kids are going to. Pay attention to what each of these kids do. This is 25 minutes long, so I'm not going to play the whole thing. But it's sickening, actually. They do this. They do this all the time.
Houston, this is Station. We're ready.
Rancho Verde Elementary School. This is Mission Control, Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Rancho Verde Elementary School. How do you hear me?
Rancho Verde Elementary School, welcome aboard the International Space Station. We have you loud and clear.
Good morning, Station. My name is Mr. Cranston, and I would like to introduce you to our 700 students that range from transitional kindergarten to 6th grade here in Apple Valley. They are very excited for this opportunity. And now we will have our first question.
Hi, my name is Mauricio Escobedo, and I am in the 5th grade. On Earth, plants adapt and evolve to their environment in order to meet their needs. What adaptation, if any, have you noticed from the plants that you have grown in space?
That is a terrific question. You know, my crewmate and I, Jessica, actually had the opportunity to participate in an experiment called Veggie, where we actually were growing plants in space. And so that's something that NASA is very curious about and we're looking at. And what we're finding is that if we can give all of the things that we need for plants to grow, temperature, light, food, and water, and air, that plants will do very well.
All right, I'm going to phase these guys out a little bit.
In space, and so we have to provide all that, and so the plants.
I just opened up the chat there, and I see Roderick said, "Hey, all, trying to see if Effed Up World is on long, and if he can address a concern a friend, I'm guessing has, for sure, yes." Maybe I can. I mean, I'll try. Fool me not. Good to see you, artist of El Elyon. We're just going to let these guys talk for a second. This is Allie Lyons. Good to see you. And Roderick. And Liam Unruly. And Melgig. Good to see you. And Bruce Hansen. Let me turn up the sound a little bit.
Second grade, where the Artemis missions allow NASA to build buildings and machines which allow people to live on the moon for long periods of time on the moon, like in the movie The Martian.
Well, as you know, with NASA's Artemis program, we are planning right now and building the spacecraft and rockets that will bring us back to the moon and then eventually on to Mars. And we're hoping to get back to the moon really soon in the late 2020s. We'll be doing that in a sustainable way, which means we will be going there to stay. So like you asked...
Oh, it makes me sick. We're going there to stay. So here's the problem. That's exactly what Lucifer said he was going to do. I'll read the next verse there. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Why is the Most High called the Most High? Which direction would that be? That would be up. So when I think about that, I guess the whole idea... Oh, we got to listen to this question.
Mistake in space. If so, how did it affect you or the crew?
Watch the smile.
What were you able to learn from your mistake?
This is great. Oh, it didn't show it like I thought it would.
Yes, the answer is that we all make mistakes. Astronauts make mistakes. Sometimes we're not always great about admitting them, but we do make mistakes. And in fact, I was going to tell you about a time that I was operating this airlock here that we used to put payloads in and outside of the space station. And
yeah, sure you do. Okay, so this is a different... Okay, you know how there's a lot of flat earthers? More and more every day. And what do they say? They say that these people are either lying or what else do they say? Being lied to? Well, if they're experiencing floating like that, which I think they are, but that's just me. There's a lot of people that think it's just Hollywood. But that's oh, here we go. Another question.
Do germs spread out the same way as they do on Earth, or does microgravity affect them?
That's a great question, and my background is actually in biology, so I find that very interesting as well.
Blah, blah, blah. You know what? That kid did not make up that question. The questions are all about microgravity and what they experience in microgravity. Who's going to live in microgravity? Nobody. Especially now. I mean, we're getting on in the times. there's just something funny I want to show you in this too. But they say some stuff coming up here that is kind of, it's wrong to teach children this. And Nathan Thompson reminded me of a thing that Jesus said. I think it was, I don't remember where in the book of Luke, I think. I'll find it. But something about having some kind of stone tied to your neck and getting thrown into the ocean or something. It's like what we teach children. Oh, here we go.
Linder, and I am in first grade. What new technology can we hope to gain from putting people on Mars?
Ugh, makes me ill.
Well, you know, 50 years ago when we took the journey to go to the moon, that caused a small revolution in technology that NASA developed in order to get us to the moon. And many of those things that we see today that we take for granted, developments in wireless technology, developments in solar power, even the way that we provide food and water to astronauts, how we purify the water that we drink, how we prepare our food, how we were able to scrub their air, keep the air clean for them. In the same way, when we undertake this journey as part of the Artemis program to return to the moon and then continue on to Mars, it's going to catalyze all sorts of new technology development that will inevitably have spin-offs that will extend into daily life, improving life for all of you and all of us on Earth.
Hi, my name is Adriana Sanchez, and I'm in the 4th grade. What did you do when you were an aquanaut, and do you miss being underwater?
She did that on purpose.
I was lucky enough to serve as an aquanaut on an underwater mission before I was even an astronaut, and that was when I was working at NASA as a scientist, supporting life science experiments like the ones that Drew and I are involved in up here now. As an aquanaut crew member, we were down there using it as an analog, so trying to understand more about what it's like to do missions and prepare for missions up in space by using an environment or a structure like that underwater, which has several elements in line with the space station. It's isolation, you need a life support system to go outside, and of course that's totally different there because it's water, but still, you can't go outside in the water and survive without this life support.
Yeah, you know what? It's water. It's just a different kind of water. Dark water. They think it's a vacuum, but it's dark waters. Like in Genesis 1 verse 2. Darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God hovered, or whatever version you read, on the face of the waters. That darkness is a well, you know what Jude says exactly what it is. It is the blackness of darkness. And there are evil spirits there. And it is also called hell. And people don't like thinking of it that way, and I'm not saying that seems weird to me. It does. But Enoch and then Isaiah, the same chapter in Isaiah, it says right before what I was reading in Isaiah 14, it says, where is that? Oh. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And that reminds me to, let's see, Let me just see if I can find it really quick. I can't remember. I should have left this plan. Sorry. I'm checking out the chat too.
Support system for very long either. The other answer, I do miss being underwater. I love swimming. I love scuba diving. I love being in the ocean. And it's very different up here. You know, I think about those things. It would be wonderful to do them, but I guess I don't really miss anything up here. And I think it's because we're in this new environment. Floating around is actually a little bit like swimming. And so when we go outside in the spacesuits too, a little bit like the stuff that we do underwater when we train at NASA. So there are a lot of parallels up here, and it's a lot of fun to swim and to scuba dive. It's also a lot of fun to be floating around up here like we do every day.
Hi, my name is Damien Rubacabra, and I am in the 6th grade. You attended many schools. What made any of these schools great? And how did they prepare you to become an astronaut?
Boring.
Well, you're right, I attended a lot of schools as a result of moving around as a kid. And
so they, like, what are they accomplishing up there? In very general terms, they're accomplishing a lot of microgravity experiments for microgravity. And it costs billions of dollars. I think, what was it, 25 billion? Billion? That's 25,000 million. That's a lot.
Hi, my name is Angel Rios, and I am in the 6th grade. What kind of mental ramifications come with being in space for so long and not being able to see your friends and family for so long?
Boring. You think kids are actually asking these questions? You know what the kids would be asking them? How are you up there if the world's flat? That's what they would be asking them. How does the ISS float? Hi, Kathy Marshall. You saw the fake moon landing at 15, huh? You were 15 years old. Wow, that's awesome. Good to have you. And Daniel, good to see you. And there was someone else, Don Pratt was here. Major Ola. Wow. Oh, this kid's cute.
What do you do for fun?
While at the...
Well, at the space station.
Make them smile and...
Well, first of all, it's just playing around in microgravity is a lot of fun. Check this out.
Check this out, kids. Look what we can do.
But we also have musical instruments up here. We have cameras. I think Jessica has an example of a camera and a musical instrument here.
What is this?
One of the things we like to do in our free time is take pictures of the Earth, and look at the size of the lens on this camera. It's a big one. It's a 400 millimeter and allows us to take close-up photos. I actually tweeted out a photo today of the Victor Valley that I was using this exact lens here. So of your community there with a camera just like this out the window of the space station.
Hi, my name is Bradley Taylor, and I'm in kindergarten. Can you run faster on the moon or on the space station?
The kid's cute.
Well, the difference in running in those different environments really comes down to the gravity situation. So 1G on Earth, up here we have microgravity, or really no gravity pulling us down. And then on the moon, we have about 1/6 of the gravity.
Okay, this is the
So
part.
what that means is that here on the space station,
Watch
you
him
can't really
run.
run. Here's what happens if you try to run when you're just standing, you're not going to be going anywhere because gravity's not pulling you down. But we actually do run.
Let's see that again.
If you try to run when you're just standing, you're not going to be going anywhere. When you're just standing, you're not going to be going anywhere. You're not going to be just standing. You're not going to be going anywhere because gravity's anywhere. Because gravity's anywhere. Because gravity's not pulling you down. But
How's
we
that for
actually
annoying?
do run as part of our exercise up here. In order to do that, we have a treadmill, just like
Okay, so that's boring, the rest of it. Okay, so they're growing plants in space in some little environment like that. Wow. We can really do a lot better down here. So, as I was saying before, the flat earthers, a lot of them, me included at a time, think that it's like people playing a trick on people, like NASA being a government agency that lies to the people. But that's not what's happening. It's far worse than that. And like our whole society is deep into it. Look at what they're doing to these children. They're telling them that you can walk on the moon and all these things. Yes, we're going to live on another planet someday. It'll happen in your lifetime. That's what they're telling these little kids. Yet, that's an abomination to God. To put things in his secret place, to put things into that darkness, that's not, that's blasphemy or whatever, blaspheming God's tabernacle. So there's one called Easy Science, and it's got a lot of balloons. Let's check it out.
Hey, I'm Thomas Serboken, also known as Dr. Z.
And I'm Ellen Stofan, also known as Dr. E.
And this is the next episode of Easy Science.
We're here at the Stephen F. Woodvar Hazy Center, our other Air and Space Museum. Today we're going to be talking about something a little different that some people might not associate with NASA.
That's right. We're talking about balloons. Balloons that float very, very high up there in the atmosphere.
Now, this was actually a really special balloon called the Breitling Orbiter 3. It took Bertrand Piccard and Brian Jones around the world nonstop for the first time in 1999. So a record-breaking flight that we celebrate here at the Hazy Center. But you have a little bit of a connection because obviously, Thomas, you're from Switzerland and this launched from Switzerland.
Exactly right. I remember, of course, watching this. There was tremendous coverage in all of Switzerland, also all over the world.
Well, to me, what we celebrate here at Hazy and at the Air and Space Museum is this idea that innovators and explorers help to change the world. And balloon science really helps us understand really helps us understand to change the world. And balloon science really helps us understand not just our world better, but actually the whole universe.
Sorry about that.
That's exactly right. The essential idea of a balloon is to move an experiment over the atmosphere. Per square inch, there's something like 15 pounds of atmospheric weights on top of us.
Sometimes we have to make our spacecraft really small if we're trying to get them all the way up into orbit. But going up in a balloon, we can actually take a fair amount of weight. That's important because the more mass you have, that means the more instruments, the more science you can do.
Exactly right. So we can bring up to 8,000 pounds.
How big are these balloons and how long do they actually stay up?
We have a variety of balloons. The biggest ones are so big they fill a...
Do they actually stay up?
We have a variety of balloons. The biggest ones are so big they fill a whole football stadium.
We have
Some
a
of them
variety.
last for hours and days, and the longest ones, the super pressure balloons, last for up to 100 days.
100
and
days.
one of the things I think it's important for people to understand is they actually rely on balloons every day in a way that they might not know about. Weather balloons launched every day help us to understand and predict tomorrow's weather.
NASA launches about 15 balloons a year from a variety of locations, all the way from New Zealand to Texas.
We actually have 3 different NASA instruments that flew on balloons in our downtown museum. All of them were looking at radiation left over from the Big Bang to help us understand the Big Bang better.
Okay.
These measurements have really transformed our understanding.
Now, it's hard for people to understand how we can be studying the Big Bang.
Sorry, but I got to pause it and preface this with a listen to what they say next here.
From our atmosphere, something that happened billions and billions and billions of years ago. But all those particles are coming from a huge distance. It takes them a long time to travel to us.
Hold on. Listen to what she's going to say. She's about to tell you that there wasn't just one Big Bang. There was an echo.
So it's really almost an echo of the Big Bang that just took a long time to reach the Earth. And that helps us to actually understand that event that we don't understand very well yet.
So,
Hey, at least she said they don't understand it very well yet.
So as we make those measurements and combine them with measurements from the ground, but also from spacecraft, that picture of the earliest moments of the Big Bang, and then also the evolution of the first galaxies, the evolution of matter is really coming together.
Do you hear him? He's saying, hey, clouds by the sun, good to see you. Behind the sun, good to see you. He's saying that we almost have the picture painted of creation. But they're so far off.
Made a lot of progress, and in part because of these balloons.
Now, we also study the Earth from balloon-based instruments. Like, I know one of the experiments that was done not that long ago was actually looking at how much solar radiation comes back from the Earth into space, which is important for us trying to understand how does Earth's climate and weather work. And that solar radiation and how much stays in, how much leaves, is really critical to understanding that.
That's right. What's really important about that experiment, too, is that we use the balloon really as a platform to try the technology. We can, for probably 1% of the cost, go try it out and make sure we understand it before we're finally ready and putting it up there in space. The other thing that we don't often talk about, and I'm really passionate about, is it's with these very balloons, we actually train the next generation of explorers and the next generation of instrument makers.
We actually run a summer camp here at the National Air and Space Museum for girls on aviation. And one of the things that we have...
Give me a break. So, yeah, they're going to just continue babbling for a minute here. Indoctrination of the kids a little bit more.
You put something up there is really exciting.
So, Ellen, I have a question for you. How long do you think it would take until we have a balloon in the atmosphere of Venus?
Venus is a perfect planet to explore with a balloon because while it's very hot on the surface, it actually gets cooler as you go higher in the atmosphere. So you can't really have a rover on Venus, that mobility where we want to visit lots of different sites. It's just too hot with a rover. So the idea is, could we send a balloon to Venus that could go up into the atmosphere, cool off, move along, come back and explore a different site?
Perhaps one of your innovators will figure out how we get to Venus with a balloon.
Absolutely. That's our role here at the Air and Space Museum, is to inspire that next generation of innovators and explorers. If you have topics for us...
You know that spirit of exploration is Apollo. You know that, right? That's in the Bible. Revelation 9, verse 11. They had a king over them who was the angel of the bottomless pit. And his name was Apollyon. Yeah, so we get particles coming at us from the Big Bang echo. Big Bang, 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 bang. Sorry, I had to do it. There's more. Okay, we already did that one. Now, I guess we have to take a break for this little video here from you know who. She shows up on my channel every once in a while.
Earth is flat, silly globehead. It doesn't rotate either. You are just making that up. Look down at the ground right now. I said look. Do you think it is rotating? Does it have an axis? Of course not. A 2-year-old child is more capable of understanding reality than you. How dare you!
Learn about Flat Earth by subscribing to Effed Up World on YouTube. This message will self-destruct in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How did I end up on the Effed Up World TV channel? I didn't sign up for this.
Okay, this one's weird, you guys. They're gonna watch a launch. That's what they're doing in this video. And I don't know who it is. This is just a NASA video that they uploaded today. It's kind of weird. Check it out. I'll take my Sheol sticker for later. And let's watch.
It's the launch day. It's a little windy out here today. It's a beautiful day. It's a little windy. It's got me concerned. My launch intuition is tingling a bit. I grew up here in Florida. I came to this very spot out here in the Causeway as a kid. My dad would take us to launches all the time. So personally, it's like the kid in me comes out when I come here. It's really cool. I've been on both sides of it. I've been a researcher, and then I've been now helping researchers. And I got to say, it's nervous on both sides. You have a lot of worry, I guess, as a scientist. You have a lot of work involved. As a payload provider, you hope you've checked all the boxes and you've done all that you can do to make everything work for the researchers so that they get good data. It's not easy to put even the most simplest payloads on the space station, but it's worth it. It's worth all the work. I think some of the biggest discoveries we've made and are going to find are up on the space station. It's incredibly important.
Well, we've been really nervous all the way up until right this moment. Nervous that our dreams aren't actually going to happen. But now that the larger countdown is happening and the rocket's all fueled up and everything looks like it's going to happen on time, it's getting really exciting. The last 15-minute window before it takes off. Thanks to Cases for funding this. Thanks to NANORAD.
All right, let me stop you right there, NASA. Pay attention to these two. They need a chaperone. That's all I'll say.
For helping us coordinate and making the hardware and coordinating all the data collection too. And thank you for the astronauts who are going to be working on this project on station. So a lot of people worked on this. It's not just the two of us. It's been a lot of people. So we really appreciate all their support.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And liftoff.
As Falcon 9 and Cargo Dragon take flight, bound for the International Space Station with fresh supplies and research.
Oh, wait. What's that? Sorry to interrupt, but that's a dragon going up to heaven, right? Or going up to the sky, the Shamaim. And it's, what's it doing? It's bringing it up supplies for what? The space station. Oh yeah, remember this story is in Revelation 13? John saw a beast come up out of the earth. Just like it's on your screen right now. Kermit's kind of trying to point it out to you. He looks at you every once in a while to make sure you're paying attention. But he saw it had 2 horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. Well, that's the dragon capsule at the top. Now, I hope someone got a chaperone for those two young ladies.
Helping to maintain our human presence in space as the station celebrates its 20th anniversary.
Uh-oh. Do I see tears? Uh-oh. I don't want to have to do this. There's a video that I found on my computer. I don't know when it got there. I'm gonna have to find it. How about if I let it keep playing and I'll... Oh, I can't right now, actually. Till I find it. Or give up trying to find it. I think it's in here. Sorry about this. Technical difficulties here. Oh, it's not there, is it? Oh, I know where it is. Sorry, guys. Sorry for these. It's not my fault. It's not there. Okay, I'll have to find it, and I'll let this keep playing.
It'd be incredible just to watch it no matter what, but knowing that we have a personal investment in it makes a big difference.
Yeah, so it's just knowing that something that we've been working on is on it, and then watching the whole experience makes it just different.
I said to get them a chaperone. Alright, we're halfway through this video, but I gotta play this other part for them. Listen, bud, it's not that bad. We all thought the same thing. And we were all wrong. There's no reason to cry about it. Okay. So, sorry about that. Back to our other video. Let's see here. Should be right here. And right.
Something that we've been working on is on it, and then watching the whole experience makes it just different.
Hey,
really,
you too.
I can't find the right words to explain it. Really.
Definitely feel like the work leading up to it was worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. And watching it with your best friend.
Yeah.
And like someone that you've been working with for such a long time, and it's just, I think it couldn't get better. That's what I can say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to do it with anyone else.
Yeah, that is the exact same sentiment that I have too. So it was really
Who cares?
Yeah.
Watch it together.
There's Dragon. That's not a good thing, you guys.
Our scientist experiment is officially on its way to the International Space Station. The SpaceX Dragon capsule that gives the research its ride to low Earth orbit now must make the last leg of its journey to the hands of the astronauts in microgravity.
What's neat for us is we've got cargo vehicles coming and going to the ISS all the time. It is really like a busy parking lot. Vehicles come in, they stay for a few months, we do a whole bunch of science, and then they leave again.
Hold on, let me read a verse. Remember how I was saying that? Remember how I was reading in Revelation 18 verse 2? It said that Babylon the Great was a prison for evil spirits and a habitation of devils. Well, there's more. It's also, I think it's a great sea, because check this out. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster, and all the company in ships, and sailors, and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? Well, in the book of Enoch, chapter 67, it says that those dark waters above are going to turn into a fire that burns forever. I'm looking it up right now. Because I didn't write it. I didn't say it. I just read it on the page. So I'm going to read it to you off of the page. Let's see. That would be... Oh, I'm too far. Oh, I think it's... Let's see. Oh, I'm too far. Okay, where it is. Here it is. Chapter 67, the last verse says, Because these waters of judgment minister... Sorry, I lost my place. Because these waters of judgment minister to the healing of the body of the kings and the lust of their body. Therefore they will not see and will not believe that those waters will change and become a fire which burns forever. So that darkness has a date with the earth. And it's this stuff here that's causing it. Because in Revelation 7, there's 4 angels that are holding back the 4 winds from hurting the earth. And if you think about that, what are the 4 winds? Well, Enoch tells us about that too. I didn't think I was going to go there, but I'm going to grab my book again. Enoch tells us about the winds. In chapter 18, he says, I saw the treasuries of all the winds. Sure is nice to know about that, isn't it? I saw how he had furnished with them the whole creation and the firm foundations of the earth. The firm what? Oh, the foundations of the earth. And I saw the cornerstone of the earth. I saw the 4 winds, which bear the earth and the firmament of heaven. Wow, that's nice to know. Because what are the 4 winds? It's the air. You know how they have to take a rocket and go up above the air pretty much to get going fast? They're not just going above the air. So he says, I saw how the winds stretch out the vaults of heaven and have their station between heaven and earth. These are the pillars of the heaven. So the air is the pillars of the heaven. And the 4 winds being loosed. What does that do in Revelation when they're loosed? Let me see. I can't remember exactly where that is. Where did they get loosed? I can't remember. Here, right here. And the 4 angels were loosed. This is Revelation 9, verse 15. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year for to slay the 3rd part of men. And the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000. I heard the number of them. By these, it says fire and brimstone issues forth from their mouth. So if you think about that, wow. Okay, I'm going to read, just keep reading for a little bit for a second here. Okay, so I stopped in verse 16 when he heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision. That means he saw this. So he's describing what he saw. And them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. Wow. And then it's chapter 10 where it gets into what I think is the same thing that Ezekiel saw in Ezekiel, what is it, Ezekiel 5? Or no, Ezekiel 9, I think. But that I might go over another time. Let's listen to more of this.
Before you know it, the next one's coming up. Now, what's important to remember is that these vehicles cannot dock themselves to the space station. We have to bring them into the space station utilizing robotics. And what I like to tell people is performing robotics, going out and capturing that vehicle is like a really difficult video game. And so we practice over and over and over again using computer simulations on how to actually capture that cargo vehicle to bring it into station. Once that cargo vehicle docks to station, we do a series of pressure checks and equalize that pressure with the International Space Station, and finally we get to open the hatch. Very quickly the crew starts to move because we've got some experiments that are actually kept at certain temperatures, and we have to transfer them quickly out and keep them at the same temperature there on board the space station.
Elaine and Peristu's research is one of the experiments that requires quick unloading. Stored at a constant temperature to ensure the hydrogels stay intact, it's one of the first items that astronauts must remove from Dragon. Then, with the experiment finally aboard the space station, it's time to conduct science in microgravity.
This was
boring. NASA, oh boy. Okay, so let's see here. Roderick says your friend Wally has something to address. Sounds like the way you're putting it, it sounds like it's a, what is it, the playground, meet you on the playground at 4. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. Bring anyone you want. I'm just joking around. So let's see here. You know what? My videos get blocked when I play that 80s video that I made. So I can't play it. I probably shouldn't have said nothing, huh? Because it's a funny one. I wonder which song it is in there. I forgot to look. So SpaceX is working on another star, what is it called? Starship? Yeah, Starship. I'm just not interested in it, but it looks like a water tower. So let's watch this little thing, I guess. R2-D2 or something. SpaceX R2-D2. Well, that thing's roaring away. I think your friend's right, Roderick. I think, I don't call space God's tabernacle because it says it's under his feet. The darkness, I mean. It says, and he made darkness his secret place. So I think he flies in the darkness, on the wings of the wind even. but I don't think it's where his throne is. I think it's, hey, Wally S., how you doing? I think that his throne is actually, a lot of people would say the third heaven, and a lot of people would say the seventh heaven. I guess it doesn't really matter because we don't know, but I think because what do we got here?
Your rusty innards. Just you reconsider playing that
It landed.
Have no more of this Obi-Wan Kenobi gibberish. You're fortunate he doesn't blast you into a million pieces right here. No, I don't think I can make it. I'm done for. I can't abide those Jawas. Disgusting creatures. I would much rather have gone with Master Luke than stay here with you. I don't know what all this trouble is about, but I'm sure it must be good. You watch your language. Nobody worries about upsetting a droid.
Oh, look at this. Elon Musk is coming on his dragon. Pointing at God. Move over! Okay, so, yeah, what Roderick, I don't know if that's what Wally was wondering about or was going to address, but I think how you put it there, the veil, that's such a good way to put it. The veil, that's what will be rolled back or whatever. And I think that the darkness is outer darkness. That's what I think it is. So I wouldn't call it. I guess I'd call it God's tabernacle because I think it's celestial, like it's part of the heavenly realm, the spiritual realm. And if we, like in Ephesians 6 verse 12, Paul even he says that it's, we don't struggle against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities and the rulers of the darkness of this world. Spiritual wickedness in high places, and that in the Greek it actually says what is it? Cosmic powers of evil in the heavenly realm. So we're talking about the spiritual realm, but let's see here. I'm looking at the chat. So it is there. Like, let me open up. Let's see here. I'll do it on my computer really quick. Because you bring up a good thing or a good point that is, for me still, it's a little confusing, but if I go to Psalm 18, it says a few things that I think are really important, but that just give me the idea. Where is that? Okay, verse 9. He bowed the heavens also, and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub. Actually, you know what? Let me that just totally works really interestingly with Genesis 1 verse 2. It says, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. That makes sense. Darkness was under his feet. So it's the Spirit of God. So it's a spiritual place. I don't know if it's that darkness is a spiritual place. Actually, I know it is. Because we actually, if Jude tells us in verse 13, raging waves of the sea foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. I think that's clearly talking about the planets. And so I think that it's a prison. I think the darkness is a prison for the stars and the host of heaven. And actually that's what Enoch chapter 18 and 21 both say that. So it says it twice that it's a prison for 7 stars, and then also the fallen angels that took human wives that came down in Genesis 6, I think. Yeah, Genesis 6. But this says, verse 10, and he rode upon a cherub and did fly. Yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. Well, Enoch saw men in chariots riding on the winds, coming in and coming. What was it, from the south to the west, or to? Yeah, I can't remember. I'm going there right now. Chapter 57 of Enoch. Let's see. Where am I? Okay, I'm too far. Still too far. Sorry, guys. I don't have the chat open either right now. I'm just going to read this quick. Chapter 57 of the book of Enoch. It came to pass after this that I saw another host of wagons and men riding thereon, and coming on the winds from the east and from the west to the south. So this is interesting because in Psalm 18 verse 10 it's talking about God, and it says, and he rode upon a cherub and did fly, yea, he did fly upon the wings of the wind. I don't think that's a good thing, because you know what, it's those same wagons that Enoch saw that caused the heaven, they destroyed the earth because of the noise of them. Seriously. It says, and the noise of their wagons was heard. And when this turmoil took place, the holy ones from heaven remarked it, and the pillars of the earth were moved from their place. And the sound thereof was heard from one end of heaven to the other in one day. So that there's a really loud noise that shakes apart the, what does it say? The pillars of the earth were moved from their place from this noise. Well, let me go back to my program here and grab a, I'm not going to try to like blast something in your ear, but I am going to play an engine test if I can find out where it is. Do you guys hear my cat purring? He's over here trying to hang out. Let's just look at this rocket experience here. Okay, so notice how far away they are from the rocket by how long it takes the sound to get to them. And that'll kind of explain how big of a noise this is. I don't want to make you wait, but I have to make you wait. Just to appreciate the distance they are from the rocket launch. So how far away that rocket is from them is very far. Because they still don't hear the noise from it. It's moving at them at about 767 miles an hour. The sound is. So if you got a good radio, turn it up. You can start to hear it now. On that launch, there is 27 Merlin engines running, like full throttle, on that Falcon Heavy right there, the rocket that we just... Actually, you can probably see it at the beginning, maybe. Maybe you can see three different rockets with 9 each. Let's see right at the beginning here. probably too far away to see that. Maybe you can see 3. But it's 3 times 9. So there's 27 of this. This is 1 Merlin engine. There's 27 on that rocket. See, that's water right there? Turns that all to steam. I'm not going to make you sit and listen to that for whatever the 3 minutes that they do this burn for. So this is what they're doing up in the sky. And remember the 4 winds. The 4 winds and the 4 angels, Michael's angels. Dragon is fighting against them. Dragon? Which dragon? SpaceX Dragon is fighting against the 4 angels holding the 4 winds from hurting the earth. John and Daniel tell a literal story, or a literal description of what they saw in the visions, and it gets completely ignored. That's troubling to me. But let's see here. Let me see if... I'm not trying to bore you with this. I just don't have anything else sitting there ready. Yeah, I just... I'm looking for a certain video that has a plume in it. Well, yeah, just... Oh, maybe this will work. This is 7 minutes of rocket plumes, I think. But it might not have any sound. I'll turn the sound off. Okay, look at what it does to the... See how the gases, how they've spread out? That's not good. And it's the noise that's doing that, or that... It's not only the gases, it's like actually literal fighting with angels. Here, watch. Look on the screen right now. That's war in heaven. It's a burn, so they're shooting fire into the sky like that. Fire-breathing dragon right there on your screen. No, I didn't name it. No, I didn't write it down. It was John that wrote it down 2,000 years ago. And Elon Musk who is making this happen. I had nothing to do with it. See that? What do you think of that? Do we have any sound? Yeah. What do you guys think of that? Is that normal to be happening up in the sky? Especially when John saw that one thing. I'll remind you here in a minute. You know, I think, well, let's do this. I think this will be a good little explanation of what I'm talking about. SpaceX Dragon up in the sky. There it is. There's a dragon. So John saw the woman clothed with the sun. Then he saw this, which you're seeing with your eyes right now. Then what happened? Anybody know? I'm going to go and just say hi to the chat. Anybody know what happened next? Oh, Roderick says, was it Ezekiel 5? I think it was Ezekiel 7, verse 22. I'll actually look it up right now. About polluting his sanctuary or defiling it or whatever. If that's what you're talking about. It's, I guess I'd start in verse 20. Ezekiel 7, verse 20. As for the beauty of his ornament, he set it in majesty. But they made the images of their abominations and of their detestable things therein. Therefore have I set it far from them, and I will give it into the hands of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked of the earth for a spoil, and they shall pollute it. My face will I also turn from them, and they shall pollute my secret place, for the robbers shall enter into it and defile it. Well, in Psalm it says he made darkness his secret place. So when I'm thinking about that, and it was under his feet or whatever. So when I'm thinking about that, I'm just saying, well, that's what this is. They made the images of their abominations and of their detestable things therein. And then what he says is coming is not good. Because, let's see here. A lot of people just think that there is no satellites. I don't think that. If you look up at the night sky at the right times, you can see satellites all the time. Especially since Elon Musk launched 300 of them in less than a year. Starlink. You might have even seen them up in the sky. A big line of satellites. There's 5 different ones up there right now. And these things are all going to come back down. What goes up must come down. Because what does he say? Let's see here. I'm glad you brought that up, Roderick. See, he keeps saying he will recompense us for our abominations, but the things he says that will happen is not good, because he says he'll put them on our heads. Or, I'm just looking for it. Where does he say it? He says it like 3 times. He's not going to have any pity. The time has come. Let's see here. Yeah, he's talking about destruction. Let's see. Mine eye shall not spare thee, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee. And thine abominations shall be in the midst of thee, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. I think they're all going to come down in 1 hour, you guys. And it's written about in Revelation 18. We got to go there and read some of that. Because remember, there's a prison of darkness, and it's called hell. I think, like a lot of people think that I'm crazy to say that, but let's have, you guys ever heard of Robert Breaker? He's a pretty good guy, I think. Let me just see if we got some Robert Breaker to listen to. Let's get his advice on the situation. It's going to take me half a second. I'll get there. He's going to teach us about the book of Jude, verse 13 that I was reading. Where is that now?
Now let's continue here in verse 13. Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame. And then it says, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Who in the world today is called a star? Well, we have your Hollywood stars.
Give me a break.
If you go to Hollywood, actors are called stars. And so they're stars. And then it says, whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. What is the blackness of darkness forever? Well, I believe he's clearly talking about hell. Because in the Bible, there's a place where there's darkness forever. And it's called hell and the lake of fire.
The weird part about it is space is so incredibly black, so incredibly dark. It's a bottomless pit of deep black, almost so deep it almost has a texture when you look at it.
Wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. Whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever. The blackness of darkness forever. Well, I believe he's clearly talking about hell. Because in the Bible, there's a place where there's darkness forever. And it's called hell and the lake of fire.
When you come in from a spacewalk, you're surrounded by the emptiness of space. It's sort of like the opposite of air. There's nothing there at all. When you quickly repressurize the hatch and you open up the hatch and you smell, what is that lingering smell from a place that used to be exposed to space? The smell in there is a little bit like that trace of a smell of gunpowder or burnt steak, or sort of like brimstone, like a witch has just been there.
Brimstone, sort of that metallic gunpowder fired smell.
Raging waves of the sea, foaming out their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of darkness forever.
For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the 8th person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly. And these are wells without water, clouds that are carried with a tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever.
In 1973, when I got saved, nobody was talking about a flat earth. I have read the documents, the commentaries, the productions of many wise men down through the years, and not a one of them was talking about a flat earth. Let me tell you something this morning, and you please hear what I've got to say. This is important. When all this stuff started bouncing back in my face a few months ago, I said to myself, well, these are brothers and these are sisters. They know the Lord, they love the Lord. We can abide together. We may not all see things exactly the same, but if we have the same Holy Spirit, we can dwell together as brethren. That was my attitude toward it, and I tried to project that attitude.
Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword.
And all of a sudden now, all these Christians, the Bible says it's fine. You know?
And I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them, and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them, and not forsake them. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images, that say to the molten images, Ye are our gods.
Then all of a sudden, 8-9 years ago, this flat earth movement comes out, or maybe even more recently than that.
Bring forth the blind people that have eyes, and the deaf that have ears. Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled, who among them can declare this, and show us former things. Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified, or let them hear and say, It is truth.
The idea of the flat earth crowd that's driving a wedge between God's people is sowing discord among the brethren.
For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foe shall be they of his own household.
So it's so ridiculous. And you know, these flat earthers, it's their whole religion. They're obsessed with it. We've had flat earthers in our church that just is all they talk about. All they talk about. I mean, I had this guy.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come.
I finally just got in his face and yelled at him because I'm just like, I don't care about the flat earth. I'm sick of you talking to me. What do you not understand when I said I have no interest? I'm not interested.
It's because they have no respect for the man of God. That's not the world I was saved into. The world I was saved into in 1973, we respected the man of God. We may not have agreed with everything you had to say. Oh, no. That's okay to think. You don't have to agree with everything, but we respected God's man.
They say, well, the Bible says the sun rises and sets. Therefore, flat earth. Okay, well... And they're like, well, that means the sun's moving. Obviously, it's just talking from the perspective of where we're standing that the sun's moving.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
But how many of you ever seen a photograph of this blue planet? It's a beautiful thing. Chuck Colson got saved. He wrote this about astronauts who found God.
I see, Wally. I'm just trying to catch up in the chat a little bit, and I did have one thing that I could mention, because I understand your point of view when you say according to man's understanding in man's constellation, like the zodiac or whatever. The point I would make there is that the book of Revelation, chapter 12, it is John's testimony, and because he bears the record of the Word of God, and so it is a testimony. So I don't think we should interpret it. And basically, John just said he saw a wonder in heaven, and obviously the moon and the sun and the 12 stars are obviously up in the sky. So it just, you know what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's not man's understanding, because I believe that it is, the constellations, I mean. But they are there, and I believe John knew, I'm sure he knew what it was. And so he just said that's how he described it, I guess. I don't know. Personally, I think that it's even more divine than that, because the sky actually did kind of go with that, like perfectly go with that description recently. And then flat earth came into the world, and those two are kind of big deals, I think. And then a dragon now. He said, I saw another wonder in heaven, a great red dragon. Well, we've got that too. So I see you said this hurts for me to hear, and I'm not sure what you're talking about. The sun, moon, and stars are for signs and seasons and days and years. But the Virgo and all that stuff, that is, I think it's the Mazzaroth, maybe. If I might be wrong on that, but I think that was probably came from one of the fallen angels, I'm sure. Oh yeah, the preachers against flat earth. You know, that's like a clear example. This is really interesting, because I like Pastor Lawson. I think he's great. This was I would call it a extraordinary sermon. Oh no, I didn't see that, Allie. But let's see here. Charles Lawson, I have another video I can play of him one of his sermons before this. And I think he got attacked, which is not good, but he got attacked. And I can show you what I mean. I'm going to keep playing this. I'll find that other video. I'll let this play.
He said Frank Borman was commander of the first space crew to travel beyond the Earth's orbit. Looking down on the earth from 250,000 miles, Borman radioed back a message, quoting Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And he later explained, he said, I had an enormous feeling that there had to be power greater than any of us, that there was a God, that there was indeed a beginning. How many of you have ever seen a photograph? And I know if you're a flat earther, you deny the photograph even exists. You know it's all fabricated. It's all a hoax.
But if we believe the basic traditional scientific view of the way the universe is laid out, leave me alone!
A beautiful thing. Listen to this. The late James Irwin, who walked on the moon in 1971, later became an evangelist minister. He often described the lunar mission as a revelation. In his words, he said, I felt the power of God as I had never felt it before. Charles Duke followed Irwin to the moon, later became active in ministry work. As he explained,
we'll come back to this video, but I found this other one, and I'm going to play it right now.
With a geocentric view, the sun and everything revolves around the earth, and the earth is fixed where it is. Now, here's the thing. My little excursion into this has revealed that most of the people that believe in a geocentric view of the earth also believe that the earth is flat. All right, I'm done with him. Am I in a Sunday school class where the preacher believes that we have a flat earth? No, I'm not saying I believe it. But I like debate, don't you? I'm going to throw some things out there for you this morning. I love debate. If what you believe is real, and you really believe it, and you have a foundation for that belief, you should be able to defend it. I have no respect for somebody who says, well, I believe this and that, and you don't have anything to back it up. I'm not saying I believe in a flat earth. No. But there are some interesting points they make. Let me give you one. How many understand if the earth is a ball out here in space, then it has a curvature to it, right? It has a curvature. It's going to have a curvature. You're going to see a curvature. Now, what's going to be more apparent is the higher you get, the more you're going to be able to see the curvature, right? In other words, you have to get to a point in space where you're able to look down on the earth and see the curvature of the earth. And therefore, prove without a doubt that the earth is round. Now, this gets into the scientific geology or geography or whatever they are, who measure things like this. But did you know that in Lake Michigan, Chicago, Illinois sits on the western bank of Lake Michigan? How many of y'all know that? Chicago, Illinois, it's a good-sized town. At one time, Chicago was the second largest town in America. Chicago, Illinois. It sits right there. It butts right up against Lake Michigan. Right up against it, Lake Michigan. You can go 40 miles across the peninsular part of Michigan. I forget the name of the town over there, and it's in another state. And you can get out there on a boat 40-something miles away from Chicago and look across Lake Michigan, and you can see the skyline of Chicago, Illinois. A meteorologist was talking about what he called what is that thing? A mirage. A mirage. A phenomenon of a mirage. And he showed a picture of the skyline of Chicago, Illinois. And he said, now this is a classic mirage. I said, what do you mean? And so the meteorologist went into this big long scientific thing about how, well, now we have these reflecting bands of the earth, and we have this I forget what all he called it, but he said the light that is reflected off of Chicago, Illinois is coming up and it's hitting a certain point here, and then it's bouncing back down again. And so people 40 miles away are able to see Chicago. You see, they can see Chicago because that the light is coming up and bouncing down, and they can see it. All right? That makes sense, doesn't it? That makes sense for the curvature of the earth. How many are following me here now? See, he was trying to explain to people, how can we 40 miles away see Chicago? And he was explaining to them how that the light was coming up and bouncing back down, and it was a mirage. You weren't really seeing Chicago by looking straight at it. You were seeing a reflection of Chicago through the clouds and the atmosphere and whatever else is up there. So these guys up there, they got in this boat. You've always got somebody like this. They hooked up their cameras. They had to wait for a certain day to come clear enough, because 40 miles is a long way to sea, folks. And they got in their boat, and they hooked up their cameras, and they focused in on Chicago, and you could barely see it. Barely, because of the haze and the distance. But they kept their cameras trained on Chicago, Illinois, and they began to cross Lake Michigan. And do you know something? Nothing ever changed except Chicago got clearer. Now, if you're following me in all of this, here's the point. If the earth is curved, they should not have been able to see Chicago 40 miles away. Is that right? How many of you know? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. How many of you know how far you have to go before you lose sight of the horizon that you were looking at, say 10 miles away? See? Is that what it is? 12 miles? All right. So how far do you have to go? 12 miles. So you go 15 miles, you're starting to, depends on how tall it is, you're beginning to lose sight of the horizon, whatever you saw on the horizon. How many follow me on this now? See? And so by the time you're 25 or 30 or 40 miles away, it should be completely gone because of the curvature of the earth. Well, why did they see Chicago? Now, I'm not saying I believe it, but it makes me think. How did they see Chicago? Airline pilots, when they go up, flight level, let's say 30 or 35, in other words, 30,000 or 35,000 feet in the air. Let's say they're up there at 35,000 feet. As they rise in that aircraft, did you know what amazing thing happens? The horizon rises. Now, if the horizon was curved, would it rise or would it fall? So you believe in the flat earth? No, but I believe in listen to what they got to say. You see, here's their point. Their point is that God made the earth and he made everything else as it relates to the earth. And the earth is the center of God's plan for man. And that it is here the issue of sin and salvation is settled. And that because of that, the earth is primary and is of primary importance in God's creation. In plainer words, you're not going to find anything out there that is nearly as important as what you've got going on here. Now, as far as that's concerned, I go with them 100%. Got no problem with that, do you? No, sir. The Bible said the earth is his footstool. No problem with that whatsoever. But here's what they say. They say a sinister element has entered in. What's the sinister element? The sinister element is this, that since the earth is not the center of the universe or the center of the known creation as we understand it, therefore the earth is really not that important, that it's just a little speck out here in the end, and that what's really important is what's been going on up there, because what's going on up there has been coming down here to visit with us here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read a little more about the flat earth. Here's why. I may never believe the earth is flat, but I may learn a lot of things from it that may help me understand my Bible in ways that I could never understand it before. You say, well, now, preacher, haven't you seen the photographs that they take when they send up these spacecraft and they look down and here's this beautiful globe hanging right out in the middle of the sky? Right in the space, this beautiful globe in space. How do you explain that? Well, here's the way they explain it. They got about 8 or 9 or 10 different globes. And they say, notice how it's changed down through the years. Here's the point that they make. It's a simple point. Do you know anybody that's ever been able to go into orbit and come back? Do you know what 35,000 feet is in the air? 5, 6, 5, 7. That's 7 miles almost. All right. How high do you have to get in the air before you see the curvature of the earth? In other words, if you're not part of the military, or you're not part of the government, or you're not part of NASA, you don't have the capability of going into orbit. You see what I'm saying? In other words, everything you know about space and about what this earth looks like from space, you got it from NASA. Horizon. You begin to lose it. So here's the question. Let's bring you back to square one. If you lose the horizon, let's say at 12 miles, whatever you could see at 10 miles by 12, it's going under. You can't see it. Okay? How could you see Chicago, Illinois 40 miles away? And I'm not talking about just the tops of the skyscrapers. I'm talking about Chicago right there from the base up. Anybody got any ideas? Now the meteorologist says that it was a mirage, but it was no mirage the day these guys got in this boat and sailed across the Lake Michigan and watched it as it went. Anybody got any idea? It's angry. That's aggravating, isn't it? You know what's aggravating about it? I'm not telling you that I believe in the flat earth, but what I am saying to you is we're presented with something that doesn't have an easy answer. And when you get something that doesn't have an easy answer, people get uncomfortable, don't they? They get uncomfortable. In 1973, when I got saved, because I had never felt it before, this astronaut spent 534 days in space. He's a born-again Christian. Jeffrey Williams loves the Lord. He took thousands of photographs and videos from the space station as it moved in the heavens above the earth. It such a magnificent sight, it took his breath away. Right now, you can log on to the internet if you want to, and you can go to the International Space Station, the ISS, and you can get a live feed from that space station. Right now, you can watch it as it moves across the face of the earth. Did you know, folks, that there are over 4,000 satellites right now in the heavens? 4,000 satellites are going around this globe right now, 4,000 of them. You're telling me that thousands and thousands and thousands of people, including all these Christian astronauts, are nothing but liars and fakers. You're telling me that it's all a sham, that it's all a fakery, and that's all you can say. Because I really would, I don't know how much courage you've got. I would like for you to look Jeffrey Williams in the face, the astronaut that spent 535 days in orbit of this earth. I would like for you to look him in the face, and he's a Christian, he loves the Lord, and look him in the face and tell him he's a liar and a deceiver. You got the courage to do it? Send him an email and say, I think you're a fake. I think you're a fakery. I think that NASA is it's all created garbage. It's all made to deceive people. There is no such thing as a round earth. Would you do that? If you have the convictions that what you believe is true, why don't you do it? Go further into it. Search it out. And now Elon Musk is the Trump card. I hate to use the word Trump. I mean, I'm not against Trump. I appreciate a lot of stuff he's done, believe me. But, you know, it can become childish after a while. But
it's live,
Elon
Roderick.
Musk is sending
It's live.
space, right?
I'm watching the chat.
These rockets up. Do you know what he plans to do next? He's going to put people on them and send them up to the moon. The people that have the money, they're going to go up to the moon. What are they going to do? They're going to look out the windows and photograph.
All right, so we got to talk to Adam Austin. You seem to not understand what's happening. Let me see if I can help explain from my point of view why the astronauts are not lying, and this pastor's not lying. They're believing a lie. They're believing a lie. Just the same as Paul said, I already brought it up a little earlier, Ephesians 6 verse 12. It says it right there, that we don't struggle against flesh and blood, but we struggle against the rulers of the darkness of this world. Who's the ruler of the darkness of this world? Satan, right? Where's the darkness of this world? Space. I wanted to comment on something Spread the Word said, which is a very good point. They said, it's not about believing flat earth. It's all about not believing the globe earth. Once you could admit that, once you can admit that, you can then put once you can admit that, you can then put all your faith in Jesus Christ. Sorry about butchering that, but yeah, because he is the Word of God. And in the Bible, that's why we're talking about Genesis so much, because in the Bible there is just like in any story or any book, there's kind of a setting that the book takes place in. Like it'll tell you a time, or it'll tell you where. And in this case, it's the creation of everything that exists. And so it's a choice to believe that or not. That's what I think. And the globe makes us not believe that, because the globe puts other gods up in the sky. And those aren't like the planets. Let me go to, I want to go to 1 John 2:26 and just explain something that I learned. Okay, so these things I have written to you concerning those who seduce you. But the word is leading astray for seduce. And guess what the word is? Let me go to the Greek. Okay, these things I have written to you concerning those leading astray you. That's what it says. It's 4105. And it is planeo. And the definition is to cause to wander. To wander. Usage is I lead astray, deceive, cause to wander. Helps Word Studies says go astray, get off course, to deviate from the correct path, circuit course, roaming into error, wandering, be misled. And okay, listen to this. Planeo is the root of the English term planet, wandering body. Okay. Planets are not good. They're not places. They are, if we went to Enoch chapter 18, we would learn what they are. They're in a prison. The planets are in a prison. The planets are in a prison. I've even heard that before, prison planet. Or maybe that was just like someone talking about the earth or something, like it's a prison or something. I don't know. But there really is a spiritual place that has become a prison for the stars and the host of heaven, and also for the fallen angels. And I think that place is also Sheol or Tartarus. Like there's different names for it, or different parts of it. The desert in Dudael. It's the wilderness, a waste and horrible place. These are all things that the prophets said when they were taken in the spirit. Ezekiel was lifted up by a lock of his hair up between heaven and earth. And Enoch went to a waste and horrible place. And the interesting thing is they all went to the same spiritual place, right? That's what I believe. But Ezekiel saw something different there. He was shown the temple of God there, between the heaven and the earth. So that's interesting stuff for sure. I got away from the chat there. Let's see here. I do have some good videos to play. Speaking of, see, Adam Austin, you got a terrible attitude about it. Do you believe the Bible? Because no, he doesn't know he's lying to people. That's ridiculous. He can't go to space. He knows that's a lie. No, he doesn't know that's a lie. He believes this lie. See, I think Adam is you just need to understand what's happening. There aren't people in this world that are lying about the shape of the earth. There are only people in this world that are believing a lie about the shape of the earth. Pastor Lawson loves the Lord. And he's not lying to anyone. This is a different kind of deception. How would an astronaut believe the lie? What do you mean? See, it's a lot deeper than you're thinking, Adam. You obviously haven't done much, you don't know much about aerospace technology and that whole industry, do you? Because there's a $350 billion a year industry. There's a lot of money that goes into developing rocket engines that make insane amounts of thrust. And it takes the collaboration of governments to escape Earth's gravity. And yes, that's what they do. But the place that they're going, the place where we get all this footage from, this footage of a globe, like on the ISS, let me look up. The Ascension of Isaiah kind of explains that quite in a simple way. Whoops. I can't type. It's really interesting. Because you know how when they go to space, they kind of just get there when they are traveling a certain speed. That's kind of how they get there. And it creates a lot of heat. And what's happening there, like when they re-enter Earth's atmosphere, they go through a part of the re-entry that's so hot that it forms a ball of plasma around the vehicle, and no communications can go back and forth between the vehicle and the ground. So it's a blackout for communication for a number of minutes. And what I'm saying is that they're going into another world. They're going into the firmament. And when they get there, everything floats, and they think it's because they're falling around a globe, when really they've just entered into a different realm and they don't belong there. I'm looking for it here in the Ascension of Isaiah. He says something about the firmament and the likeness of what's on the earth, but it's not the earth. They can see a likeness of what's on the earth, but I think that's why it has so much curvature. They're looking through a huge lens, a huge monocle. Let's see, where is this? Is it chapter 7? It could be. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'll just read a little bit of this. And the vision which Isaiah saw, he told to Hezekiah and Joseph, his son Micaiah, and the rest of the prophets, and said, At this moment, when I prophesied according to the words heard which ye heard, I saw a glorious angel, not like unto the glory of the angels which I used always to see, but possessing such glory and position that I cannot describe the glory of that angel. And having seized me by my hand, he raised me on high, and I said unto him, Who art thou, and what is thy name? And whither art thou raising me on high? For strength was given me to speak with him. And he said unto me, When I have raised thee on high through the various degrees, and made thee see the vision on account of which I have been sent, then thou wilt understand who I am, but my name thou dost not know. Because thou wilt return into this thy body, but whither I am raising thee on high, thou wilt see, for this purpose I have been sent. Okay, this isn't the part when I was looking for. Okay, yeah, this is right here, verse 10 in chapter 7. And as above, so on the earth also, for the likeness of that which is in the firmament is here on the earth. The likeness of that which is in the firmament is here on the earth. So it's like a different place. And they're looking down from where God would look down, I guess. Yeah, it's no good. No good. I'm going back to see the chat here. No, they're escaping the nature of the earth. I'm not saying they escape gravity. That's just what they say. There is no outer space. Then I guess you don't believe what Genesis 1 verse 2 says. There was darkness upon the face of the deep. If you look up at the night sky and you see where the stars are, that's the place I'm talking about. It's celestial, and it is heaven, or part of heaven. It is the darkness that was upon the face of the deep. It's dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. Lots of different ways that the Bible refers to this darkness. It's under God's feet. It's his secret place. Yes, spread the word is exactly right. The misconception about flat Earth is that everyone who contributes to the space industry is in on it, quote unquote. They're not. They are bought into it. They have bought into it. And this is the whole world. That's why people always talk about the New World Order. New World Order's coming. No, it's already here. It's been here our whole lives. And we've been in that religion our whole lives. And so the point is, I believe that this is the grace being brought unto us at the revelation of Jesus Christ. And it is, what does he say to do? Repent and be baptized and believe. And I think, believe the gospel. I think that today, if any honest person looks at the world, looks at the internet, and says, what is a popular thing happening on the internet for the last 5 years? Probably, you could even say it's consumed all internet platforms for the last 5 years. Or maybe not consumed, it's filled the headlines. It's flat Earth. It's a big deal. Let's listen to Pastor for a little bit.
The earth. Think of all these people that are going to be going up. And this is a few years. It's not long in the future. And they're going to be photographing this round, blue, beautiful planet out here in space. They're going to photograph it, and they're going to come back and talk about how beautiful that this earth is. What will you do then? When you are faced with overwhelming evidence from so many different areas, what will you do then? Will you stick with your flat earth doctrine? But flat earth doctrine is causing discord among the brethren.
You understand? The sun's moving, everything's moving. The sun's moving, the earth's moving.
That tells me that there's something going on that's greater than a flat earth thing.
Folks, get a brain. What's the sermon about? Get a brain. And you know what? If you're one of these flat earthers, please, for the love of all that's holy, get off those YouTube videos, get off those websites, and go to some real sources of learning. Go to the library and get a library card. It's free. I will buy you whatever book you want.
This crowd today has no respect for the man of God.
Oh, if we could just get people to believe in God, then they'll be saved. Really?
It has to do with the demonic attack upon the church from the inside.
What we see here is that the earth could be filled with water to where the highest mountain is covered, right?
We don't need somebody who's carried about and tossed about with every wind of internet crap.
Okay, give me a break.
And so I don't want anything to do with it. And this flat earth thing, people will say, yeah, but, you know, if we could just get people to believe in
the flat earth, then they'll realize there's a God and they'll believe in God.
Satan wants to destroy the church from within.
If gravity's so strong, then how did Michael Jordan jump so high? To give you the message of the Big Bang. I am the God. I mean, look, hey, he's going to say, hey, you've heard of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? I'm the God of Captain Kirk. I'm the God of Spock. I'm the God of Captain Sulu. You know, I'm here to tell you the truth of the cosmosity.
Do you know what the secular world thinks about us? When they are in possession of that enormous amount of material that proves that this earth is a globe, do you know what they think about us?
I got a comment on what Roderick said there, and he's right, I guess. Actually, it's hard to say that. He says Satanists have come along with flat earth, sadly. In a way, I believe that, or I agree with that, but in a way, I don't. Because flat earthers, by calling themselves a flat earther, they don't believe Satan's lie. The big lie. The big end times deception. So they do overcome that part of it, but if they are not following the Lamb, let me read what happens about to them. Well, actually, let's just read it right here. Zechariah 13, verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the 3rd part shall be left therein. And I will bring the 3rd part through the fire, and will refine them, as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. So, I think to overcome, because I know some flat earthers, maybe 2 or something, that absolutely have a problem with the idea that Jesus is the Son of God. And it's kind of weird to have them think that, because they're seeing the truth and bearing witness to it. So they're being crappy witnesses, if you get what I'm saying. Let's listen to this a little more. It's almost over.
You know what we look like to them? I'm not one bit interested in whether I'm accepted by the world or not. But I'm going to tell you something, folks. I'm not going to go out of my way to make myself look like a fool. I'd do that without going out of my way. What do you think they think of you when you start that?
Learn! There are hundreds of thousands, yea, millions of people watching these videos. If you look at these flat earth videos, they have hundreds of thousands of views, and just the thumbs up are just thousands and thousands of thumbs up. Look, I put up a video preaching against flat earth where I just mentioned it a few minutes in a sermon. 1,000 thumbs down. 1,000 thumbs down. 1,000 thumbs down. 1,000 thumbs down. 1,000 thumbs down.
What does the ISS smell like?
Oh, you can smell a little roast beef.
When we first docked with the shuttle, there was a noticeable smell, but you get accustomed to it very quickly. So I can't tell anything anymore.
You know, there was some I don't know how to describe it, but some feeling that it was real air that was coming in. And on the hatch, I think we told to each other, "Hey, can you smell the?"
You can smell a little roast beef.
Special, and we could really smell.
The poop remained in the toilet. We landed with all of our poop, and then the toilet was serviced once we got on the ground. It does, however, on occasion get stinky in space. What you smell in space in the cabin is generally each other. When we landed on the shuttle, after this situation for a few weeks, the people that would open up the hatch would get a whiff of this and be like,
I smell a little roast beef.
Was usually the reaction.
Let's
let's say you're up here on ISS and you need to go to the restroom. You want to come to this cabin, and the first thing you want to do is grab this piece of equipment and turn this rotary switch 90 degrees to the open position. What that does is it turns on a fan, which creates a suction effect in this hose, so that you can use this yellow element for your number 1. For number 2, the principle is actually exactly the same, suction. We have a solid waste container here, and on top of it...
After you get a little experience, you could do other things like peeing upside down. This was a challenge given to me by a more experienced astronaut who said it is possible to pee upside down. You should try it, and you can. You just flip yourself upside down. You need to be a little more careful. You don't want to do that on day 1. You know, you don't want to hot dog it too much, but...
is this seat. And the solid waste container is connected via this hose to the same fan, so that, again, the same suction effect allows you to do your number 2
in weightlessness. I want to show you how it looks, but since we don't want any bad smells to come out, we're going to actually turn on the fan. It's going to be a little bit loud. Here we go. Now you can lift the lid. There is this seat that sort of looks comfortable, but you don't really sit in weightlessness. So most of us actually prefer to lift this one as well and use directly the opening that goes into the bag. And in fact, there is a bag in there. It looks like this. And when we are done with our business, we close the bag and we push it down into the solid waste container. And then, of course, as a courtesy to the next person, we put a new fresh bag inside. The solid waste container gets changed when it's full, which is roughly every 10 days for a crew of 3 people using it. This one, for example, was installed on the 61st day of this year.
Okay, so where does the pee go if you do it in the spacecraft?
In the spacecraft, it's collected and then dumped, as he described. And you would want to see the urine dump was cool, because you would dump it and it would crystallize and the sun would shine on it, and it was really fun. It was something.
I can't believe I'm having a conversation. A beautiful frozen pee in space.
A urine dump.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, it's a urine dump. Hey, it's a urine dump, and we, before you hit the switch, everyone go to the window and watch. That's it.
So you're telling me your pee was orbiting the Earth?
Apparently, yes. I never thought of it that way, but yes, for a little bit until it crystallized. It kind of disappeared.
No, then it would re-enter the atmosphere.
Yes. Well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
I
that's
peed
the
on
physics of it.
everybody.
You peed on Earth.
Yes, I guess
oh my
gosh. Now the secret's out. That's it. It is possible to pee upside down, which is kind of cool, and it is treated and it is reused. So as my friend Don Pettit says, today's coffee is tomorrow's coffee. As you're sitting on this thing, but your butt could still come off the back of it, and that's not good. So in order to keep your butt on the toilet seat, we had these 2 little arms that would press you into the seat. Actually, to help myself get the right position, as I put my arms up like this, like I was riding a chopper. I thought of Peter Fonda in a movie called Easy Rider. That was a good alignment for me. The poop remained in the toilet. The more experienced recovery technicians would know that ahead of time and be prepared for it.
Probably roughly around day 71, we will have to change it again. But urine
gets recycled.
So from the pretty complicated hydraulic equipment that is behind here and makes the use of the toilet in space possible, the urine actually gets directly transferred to another piece of equipment which is here in the floor, which is called UPA, Urine Processing Assembly, which is the first step
into turning urine into potable water.
What does the ISS smell like? There's one smell up here that's really unique, though, and that is the smell. We just call it the smell of space, but we experience it when I haven't had a chance to do a spacewalk yet. I'm still waiting and hoping for that. But when other guys did, and they came back in, after we repressurized and opened up the volume for them to come back into the station, there's this really, really strong metallic smell. And I don't know exactly what it is. Something to do with maybe atomic oxygen interacting with the suit materials, or we're not exactly sure what it is. It's a very distinct smell, and it's the smell of space. It's really cool.
And it's just something that it's a continual occurrence. It's like a very small rain, a drizzle, and it's just something that you have to engineer around when you make a spacecraft.
As for the beauty of his ornament, he set it in majesty, but they made the images of their abominations. But they made the images of their abominations and of their detestable things therein. Therefore have I set it far from them, and I will give it into the hands of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked of the earth for a spoil, and they shall pollute it, and they shall pollute it. My face will I turn also from them, and they shall pollute my secret place, for the robbers shall enter into it and defile it. An end, the end is come upon the four corners of the land. Now is the end come upon thee, and I will send mine anger upon thee, and will judge thee according to thy ways, and will recompense upon thee all thine abominations. And mine eye shall not spare thee, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thine abomination shall be in the midst of thee. And ye shall know that I am the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God, an evil, and only evil, behold, is come. An end is come, the end is come. It watcheth for thee. Behold, it is come. The morning is come unto thee, O thou that dwellest in the land. The time is come, the day of trouble is near, and not the sounding again of the mountains. Now will I shortly pour out my fury upon thee, and accomplish mine anger upon thee. And I will judge thee according to thy ways, and will recompense thee for all thine abominations. And mine eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity. I will recompense thee according to thy ways and thine abominations that are in the midst of thee.
Hello. I want to read the first 4 verses of chapter 7 in the book of Revelation, and then talk about it for a second. All right. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried out with a loud voice to the 4 angels whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And then it goes on, let's see, there was Judah, Reuben, Gad, I don't know how to say that, G-A-D, Asher, Nephilim, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zabulon, Joseph, Benjamin. Hope that's 12. After this, we'll just keep reading. This is verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all the nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders and the 4 beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshipped God, saying, Amen, blessing and glory, and wisdom, and thanksgiving, and honor, and power, and might be unto our God forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes? And whence came they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore they are before the throne of God, and serve him day and night in his temple. And he that sitteth upon the throne shall dwell among them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. So we're talking about, let me give a little context. Revelation 1, verse 1. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it by his angel unto his servant John. Okay, the book of Revelation isn't something you are going to go to school and learn about. I'm sure there's all sorts of teachings and all, and people are doing what they think we should do, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it says right here, blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy. That's verse 3. And keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. So that's one thing that we should be doing. We should be reading this and trying to understand it. But these that were arrayed in white robes, 144,000 of them. And before, let's see here, okay, there was 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. Forget the ball. Doesn't work. So you've got 4 corners, and there's angels there. And it says, the one angel, well, they're holding the 4 winds of the earth, I'm sorry. That the wind shouldn't blow on the earth, nor the sea, nor any tree. So it's calm, And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. He said, Hurt not the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of God in their foreheads. So it's sounding like after they're sealed in their foreheads, that these angels are going to stop holding the winds. I hate when people are talking about the tribulations that we read about, that Jesus said there would be a great time of tribulation, and we just read about it. Where was that? Oh yeah. Whence came they? These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Okay. I know everybody watching this can get the idea of what I'm talking about, but I need to explain what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's 144,000 people going to be sealed. Then, if we go to Revelation chapter 10. I'm already there. Okay, we saw an angel come down from heaven. I'll read chapter 10. And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud, and a rainbow was upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire. And he had in his hand a little book open, and he set his right foot upon the sea, and his left foot on the earth, and cried with a loud voice, and when the lion roareth, and when he had cried, as when the lion roareth, And when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voices. 7 thunders. And when the 7 thunders uttered their voices, I was about to write, I heard a voice from heaven saying unto me, Seal up those things which the 7 thunders uttered, and write them not. So, seal them up. So we got 7 thunders we're looking for sometime somewhere, right? And then let's keep going. And the angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted his hand to heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever and ever, who created the heaven and the things therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that there should be time no longer. But in the days of the voice of the 7th angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. And the voice which I heard from heaven spake unto me, and said, Go and take the little book which is open in the hand of the angel, which standeth upon the sea and upon the earth. And I went unto the angel, and said unto him, Give me the little book. And he said unto me, Take it, and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand, and ate it up, and it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. And he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before many peoples, nations, tongues, and kings. So, man, I want to keep going, but long videos just are bad because no one can finish them. So then the next chapter, verse 3, 11 verse 3, after he's told to measure the temple and to leave out the part where the Gentiles are going to be, because they're going to be, we got to read it, because this is all connected. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood, saying, Rise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. Now, people are always talking about a city on earth. And when I read the book of Daniel, it gives me a different idea. I mean, I can't say that I know this, but it gives me the idea that we're talking about the host of heaven, which is another thing. I'm not so sure that the host of heaven is quite what we think it is. I get a different idea in the Word, in Daniel. That's another story. So, under foot 40, or shall tread under foot 42 months. Okay, then it says, John writes, And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. And it goes on, but, these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And it goes, and they got some crazy stuff that they can do. So, back to where we began, because the candlesticks and all that, that's for another video. A cool video that, we were in chapter 5? Or, wow, 7, okay. So, what happens when they're going to prophesy for 1,260 days. So, in theory, just an idea, if flat earth, and then in my personal experience, they've showed me what the visions mean entirely, Revelation and Daniel. They just, for the last year, the Holy Spirit's been taking me through this and making me understand the whole thing. And it's something divine, it's spiritual, it's not me. I don't have it's not a person. That's the thing, it's not a person, it's the Holy Spirit, or the Spirit of truth. He doesn't speak of himself, he speaks what he hears. I think that John and Daniel are prophesying to the Spirit of truth, and the Spirit of truth is showing me. And a lot of other people too. There's a lot of other people that are definitely showing the Spirit. They're